Hello everybody, welcome to my Super Mario Bros. 3 80% Warpless tutorial video. I haven't made one of these before, so we'll kind of see how this goes, but I'm planning on making a series of this. We'll probably call this series How to Sub 1 or Sub Hour in SMB3 Warpless, something like that. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm going to be making tutorial videos per world, so this video is going to be specifically about World 1. I'm also going to be covering kind of an introduction, how to practice, how to get started, and some first-time mechanics of the game, just controls and things like that. So we'll be kind of covering all that in this video, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So first things first, this isn't the only Warpless tutorial video out there. There is another video that I will link in the description, made by WhenChukAttacks. He made a tutorial video. It's actually linked also on the speedrun.com website for the SMB3 leaderboards. So you can check that out if you like. I know I used it when I first started learning this game and speedrunning and things like that. So it's definitely a good reference point just to get started with speedrunning with this game. The reason why I want to make my own tutorial video is to go more in depth on certain strats and show kind of backup strats that I've learned when I started learning this game, just based off of my experience and this kind of strats that I used in the beginning. Just to kind of demonstrate and just show you that this game is not as hard as it looks. There are backups to do, and you can still get a pretty decent time too with these strats. So we'll be kind of going over just the strats that a beginner should use just to get started. I will be covering the more known strats as well. And a couple more things I want to talk about before we get started. You can practice and get started speedrunning on emulator. That is not a problem, although as many probably already know, if you do speedrun on emulator, there is a bit of input lag. So I personally would recommend, if you don't have a NES, getting one. And also there's a couple things that I used in my process of getting started when I first started speedrunning on the original console. I used a Game Genie starting out. It might be hard to get a hold of one these days, since they might be a little bit more rare, but you might be able to find one on eBay or something like that. I highly recommend getting one. You can use practice codes and things like that just to get started in practice, and it makes practicing a lot easier than just playing the vanilla version of SMB3, because you can't skip levels or anything like that, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to practice. What I use now is I use an EverDrive for the NES. I highly recommend getting one of these. They are a bit more pricey than a Game Genie, so that is the downfall of it, but you can load up a practice ROM, which I will also link in the description on how to get that. A very useful feature of the EverDrive is it comes with save states, and that's very useful for practicing levels and specific parts of levels and things like that. So you can create a save and you can load a save directly just from the EverDrive itself. So that's a really cool feature and it's very useful. A couple things that the practice ROM comes with is right off the bat, it comes with a full inventory that you can reuse. So that's very useful. You can use whatever item you prefer. You can also skip levels that haven't been touched yet. There's a couple more things that you probably can't see right away, but there is an input display at the bottom. There's a timer, there's a lag frame counter, and there's a speed counter. So I'll kind of go more in depth on that once we get into a level. Normally in the vanilla SMB3 game, there is one Hammer Bro in World 1. But as you can see, there is no Hammer Bro, so that's one thing to keep in mind, is there are no Hammer Bros, but as a beginner, I recommend just getting all Hammer Bros. It really doesn't lose that much time. Alright, so before we actually start doing 1-1, I do want to talk about the mechanics of the game. So as you can see below, there is an input display. You can see what kind of inputs I do. This is of course being A, B, up, left, down, right. So that's very useful, so you can see what buttons I press. There's also a timer, and there's a speedometer. I don't know what you would call that. the speed display, and then there's also a lag frame counter, so that's very useful. So a couple things to talk about here. First off, Mario only runs if you're holding B and holding either right or left, so as you can see, he is running. That also builds up your P speed. And of course, A, the longer you hold A, the higher Mario jumps, and this is very important. I usually reference jumps as like low jumps, which is like basically tapping A. Medium jumps being kind of like the peak of Mario's normal jump, kind of in the middle, and then a high jump is just a full A press. So you'll be hearing me say low jump, medium jump, high jump, things like that. That's kind of what I'm referring to. Is just small jump, medium jump, or a high jump. So, all right. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about is when you're big Mario, there is a duck jump, as you can see. So when you're holding down, Mario gets into like this crouched position, and this is very useful for a lot of levels. So that's something to keep in mind. One thing I do want to talk about is duck jumps. You can only duck when you're holding straight down. So when you're holding right and also down, as you can see, Mario isn't duck jumping or duck in the duck position at all. He's not in the duck position at all, as you can see. So this is a very important to know. So as you can see, like when I'm running, I have to stop holding right or left, depending on the position or the direction that I'm going. And I have to stop holding and hold down. So this is kind of important to know. All right, so now we're gonna be doing 1-1 from start to finish. And then after I play it once from start to finish, we'll go back and we'll start talking about specific parts of the level. There's a lot to take in this world, in this level. But don't worry, I'll break it down for you and we'll just kind of, we'll talk about it. So here's 1-1 from start to finish here. Okay, now I know that was a lot to take in, but we'll talk about it. In the beginning, and I'll be using save states quite often, so if you see the game kind of jump back a bit, that's me just kind of loading a save state. So alright, so the beginning, there's kind of a couple ways to do this, and it doesn't really matter as much, but jumping over this Goomba, you do not want to jump on him because that will keep you in the air, and you want to build your P speed in the beginning. So the best way to do this is to jump over him. And there's a couple ways to kind of like time your jump. You can use this bush here, like right as Mario gets to the bush, you can jump. Or you can kind of just eyeball it and just jump over him. You can also aim for the question block here. The first one or second one, it doesn't really matter. So it's kind of up to you on how you want to do the beginning of this. Alright, and there is a faster strat for this, and that's kind of the turn back strat for, I'll do this here, I'll do the turn back strat, that saves, I think, a quarter of a second. I don't even do this in my runs, guys, it really doesn't matter. I think it's more consistent to run against the pipe, so running all the way to the pipe and holding A all the way through, and you will clear that piranha plant no problem. So that's what I would recommend doing, so just jumping and then doing a full jump here. Alright, so after that, what we're going to do is we're just going to run all the way over to this Koopa, and we're going to jump on him, and then we're going to hit this question block here to get a mushroom. You can do this level as Small Mario. Being Small Mario later in this level does make things easier, so I'll kind of talk about that too in a second. It'll make a lot more sense once we get to level 2. But in this scenario, I'm going to be talking about how to do this level as Big Mario. So about this jump, you want to jump on him twice. So you want to jump on him once, and I'm doing a small jump. You don't have to do a big jump like this. You can just do a small jump, and then you want to make sure you land on the second time on the left side of the Koopa, so you push the Koopa, the shell, to the right. So you want to jump on him once, and then make sure you jump on the left side so it doesn't go to the right like that. So you want to do one jump here and then another jump there. Alright, so once you do that, and then you can jump again and grab the mushroom. and then you can do that, and then grab the mushroom, and then you can run all the way through. Now this part is probably the hardest part of the level. This is the more complicated part of the level. I'll be talking about the strat that everybody does, but I'll also be talking about backup strats that you can do. This is where the duck jump kind of comes into play here, is this jump coming up here. So when you do a jump here, you want to do a duck jump on the third Koopa. So you want to do a third jump like this, and that'll bring you up to here, and that makes you can skip basically the entire level once you're up to this point, because you can jump over everything. Now there are backup strats, and you can also do that without duck jumping. As you can see, like, you don't necessarily have to dunk jump, but it makes the gap a little bit smaller and makes it more precise per frame. As you can see, I'm not really getting it very consistently, so I don't really recommend that. So this is where that duck jump kind of comes into play. And there's also a visual cue that I use for this. I usually jump right about here, in between the second and third bush. That's usually where I pinpoint my jump. So you can do a jump there, and then you kind of have to do like a big jump, and then another jump right as you land. So a big jump, then another jump. It's almost like a half, it's kind of in between big and medium. Like, you don't have to do a big jump because you won't land. You want to land on the blue block as soon as possible, so it's kind of like right as you get level with the blue block, the blue platform, that's when you kind of want to release A. So, yeah. Now there are alternatives on how to do this, and there's also another way to complete this level. It will be a little bit slower, of course, but as a beginner standpoint, it's not as much slower, and it's pretty useful. So the alternative is to use this visual cue here. You want to use the shadow of this block here, this green block, and you want to basically jump and hold left. So what this looks like is kind of a different route, as you can see, but it makes things a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about the duck jump, and it makes this strat a little bit more consistent, I would say. So you can do a jump here, do another jump here, and then you're up, you're up to the top, and then you can do the rest of the level normally. All right, so now we're up here. Now there's a couple ways to do this. Typically what I do is at the end of this row of clouds, I usually do a big jump, and you can either do a big jump normal, or you can do a duck jump if you prefer. It makes things a little bit easier, but what I like to do, it just satisfies me. It really doesn't matter what you do at this point. But I love doing the bounce off the Koopa. It just satisfies me. It's really easy to do once you get it consistent, once you practice it a few times. But basically you want to do a full jump, and then right after you bounce off the Koopa, you can kind of let go of A at like the peak of the jump, or the peak of the bounce, I should say. So you're holding A up to this point. As you can see in my input display, I'm kind of letting go at the top. And then what other people do is they do kind of like a medium jump here, and they kind of land on that platform there, and they just kind of jump their way across. So you can do like a medium jump, and then just jump your way through. I don't really normally do this strat, but it's personal preference if you prefer that way. And you can do 1-1 as Small Mario. It does make 1-2 or level 2 a little bit easier as Small Mario. But you'll kind of see why a lot of people don't do this. It might seem like you're doing 1-1 faster this way, and 1-2, but it does cause time loss in the first fortress, and you'll see why in a second here. But let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do it this way if you'd prefer to do it as Small Mario. Like I said, it makes this duck jump a little bit easier. As you can see, I don't have to worry about a duck jump. There's a big opening, so it does make this a little bit easier. If you do prefer doing this level of Small Mario, go for it. Otherwise, everything else in the level is pretty much the same. Alright, so now we're going to be going up to level 2. We'll first talk about Big Mario, if we're doing that, and then I'll also talk about what you would do if you were Small Mario. So I'll start doing the level from start to finish here. Okay, now that is 1-2. All right, and the beginning of this is a little bit tricky. That beginning P-speed strat's really difficult. So just starting off, I'll talk about how to build P-Speed early, but like I said, this is kind of difficult. So for this beginning, you want to run on the ground as much as possible. And if you run up slopes, as you can see, it doesn't really build your P-Speed. So you want to run on the flat, on majority of the flat parts. And then you also kind of want to run up hills just a tiny bit, because in the beginning of hills, you still build P-Speed. So you kind of want to build P-Speed when you're kind of going up slope. So I'd say right about here is probably where I jump, and then I try to land on this corner here, and then about here is where I jump again. So as you can see, when you do that, you can build up your P-Speed a lot more. Now if you get to that pipe, and if you get to the end of this pipe here, if you get to the end of this pipe and you are pretty much full on P-Speed, except for the P icon, if you have all the arrows filled, that means that you've built enough P-Speed to get early P-Speed. So I'll kind of show you. As I see, I didn't get the P yet, but then when you do a run on the top of the second pipe, you want to run on that pipe as much as you can, and that's where you can build the rest of your P-Speed. Now, before you get there, for this part, you pretty much just want to run off this pipe here. So what you can do without building early P-Speed is you can run all the way on top of here. You can do a full jump off that Goomba and bounce off of him. Now, it's very important that you jump and you bounce. After you bounce off that Goomba, you want to land close to the pipe as possible without jumping or landing on the pipe. Because you want this ground, you want as much of this ground as possible to build your secondary P-Speed. So as you can see, I do a bounce here, and I'm kind of doing like a medium jump, I would say. It's not a full jump, but it's not a small jump either. You kind of have to get a feel for it, but you pretty much want to land pretty much directly to the right of this pipe here. So once you land to the right of this pipe, you want to do 2 quick jumps right after. So after you build your P-Speed, you want to do 2 quick jumps there. So it's a little bit of a tight gap, but that's how you build your P-Speed in the beginning. Now this is why doing this level of Small Mario is a lot easier, because you can just run underneath these blocks here to build and have extra room for your P-Speed. So we'll kind of go over that in a second here. But land as close as you can. Right as you build P-Speed, jump, do a small jump, and jump off of here again. Once you jump up here, and once you get to this point, you want to do a full jump. This lines up the jump very, very well. I've never had a problem with this ever since I've learned this. At the peak of this hill, just do a full jump. Don't let go of A. As you can see, when I'm holding A, I land completely fine on this pipe in between these two music blocks. So once I do a full jump, I do kind of a medium jump after that. So I do a full jump here, I do a full jump here, and I do kind of like a medium jump because I want to land on this block here. Now this is kind of a tricky jump, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Just a medium jump, then you can jump off of that block. Or if you prefer, you can do a full jump and then just do another full jump, and then you can do kind of a turn back and jump over. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect, you guys, so don't worry about that. If you want to do something kind of cool as well, you can run off this pipe without jumping, and you can bounce off this Goomba. If you want to do it that way as well, there's definitely some options for you there. So doing that, running off, do kind of a jump, a turn back, be swaggy, do whatever you want. But yeah, that's how you do level 2 as Big Mario. Now, if you want to do it a little bit easier, and if you're doing the small Mario strats, you can do it this way. And like I said, it makes it a little bit easier to run underneath that block. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like here. So as you can see, you have a lot more room to build your P-Speed. So that's what makes this part a little bit easier. And what I recommend doing is jumping as soon as possible after you pass this block, just doing a full jump as soon as possible, and you can bounce off that Goomba, as you can see. If you jump a little bit later, you can do a quick turn back, like this, to bounce off that Goomba, and then everything else is normal. So Alright, so that is 1-1 and 1-2, so now we're going to be going to the fortress. Of course, you can skip 1-3 and 1-4 now, because this is a warpless run, and you do not need to do those levels. So normally, in a normal warpless run, you would already be Big Mario, but if you did end up using the Small Mario strat, this is where you'll be getting your Big Mario suit, is this pipe here. So if you're already Big Mario, you can skip this block here, but if you're Small Mario, this is where you'd be grabbing it. So you do want to get Big Mario there because there's another block later in the level that'll give you the raccoon suit, and this is what you want to do to complete this level faster. So we're already Big Mario, so now we can do this level normally. So you can get an early P-speed here. It's a little bit more tricky. As you guys already know, you want to run on the ground as much as possible. You want to run on this platform, this floor here, and this floor here as much as possible. So you want to do kind of precise jumps, landing on the corners of the platforms, and you can build P-speed pretty early, as you can see. And that makes the beginning a little bit faster. Not required, but it does save a bit of time. So I'll be doing this level from start to finish. Alright, so that is the fastest way to complete this level. Now you're probably wondering why we're getting the whistle. If you go to Boom Boom's chamber and try to defeat him, which is the intended way to beat this level, it's actually slower. So you want to actually go up to the top and grab the whistle. You're not going to use the whistle. You guys know this. This is a warpless run. You won't be using that item. It does complete this fortress a lot faster. So let's say you were unable to build your P-speed in the beginning, no problem. In that case, this is where you'll be building your P-speed, is right here. Don't worry about these waffle things here. As you can, if you run all the way through, you won't touch them. You can do a quick duck or something if you feel like you're really close. You can do a quick turn back. It's up to you, but you won't be touching these waffles at this point. So when you build your P-speed here, I typically do a jump in between these two windows. That's kind of my visual cue. It's kind of up to you, and it's a very small jump. It's a very small jump because you want to jump here and you want to land right here. So do a small jump and you'll land here. And then what I like to do is I like to do a duck jump off of this platform, and that's what makes this gap here easier. Because if you're Big Mario, it's gonna be a lot harder to make this gap. You can still make it as Small Mario, but it's just a little bit more difficult. That's kind of where the duck jump gets important. So if you do a duck jump here, it's a lot easier to clear. And once you land here, you want to jump, break this block, and then you want to jump again right after that. So from start to finish, it'll look like this. So as you can see, I still have my P-speed. I grab the suit and I can actually fly up right away. And if you didn't build P-speed, no problem. You can still grab the suit and then you can jump on this guy. Now you have this room to run and rebuild your P-speed. And then you can just fly on up. This is still faster than beating the level normally, guys. So this is still recommended. If you don't get this very precise jump, don't worry about it. And if you're having issues, what I like to do is I like to press left a couple times right before I land. As you can see, it's kind of like a lineup thing. So if you're doing a duck jump or a normal jump, and if you tap left, that slows Mario down and that makes this jump a little bit more easier. So if you do a duck jump and then tap left a couple times, you can see that it makes Mario's jump a little bit slower, but it doesn't make you lose your P-speed. And for those who don't know, when you get to the end, as you can see, I can't go any more right, and I'm not going through a door. You have to press up to get into this room. Just in case if you didn't know that, now you know. All right, so that's the fortress. Now you should still have your raccoon suit here at this point. And we're actually going to be doing, in the beginning of 1.5, we're going to be doing a damage boost. This is so you can run past the enemies and build your P-speed in the beginning. So in the beginning of 1.5, I hold down and then I hold right when I get to the first enemy there. When I get to the first guy here, I hold right, and then I use that part of the hill to build my P-speed. So I'll do this from start to finish. can see I'm jumping a lot. That's just because I'm trying to conserve my P-speed. And I just got tunneled. Okay, I'll talk about tunnel in a second. That isn't a required strat, but that's a hard strat to get. And right when I get to this hill, I do a jump right away, because if you run up that without jumping, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna lose your P-speed. You might be able to regain it back, but it's just a quick time save. Right when you land on this hill, just do a short jump, and that way you keep your P-speed all the way through. So, as you can see, you're just kind of jumping your way through, jumping where I'm jumping. Alright, and now this part, I'm doing a jump here, and I'm also doing a jump at the end of the hill. This is to maintain my P-speed. If I'm running up this and I'm doing this, I'm not going to build my P-speed back up for the rest of the level. So you want to do a jump here and a jump here. And then, once you do that, you're going to jump again. There's a lot of, right as you land, you jump, and you just got to time your jumps. So you do that, and when I jump from here to here, I'm using this part. I'm not sliding down. I'm just running down this hill up until the first Koopa, and then I'm jumping again. That's usually a good cue to when you need to jump. So I do a jump, then I do a jump again. Jump up here, do another jump, and then this second jump, right before the Koopa, I usually do a full jump here. Now, if you do a jump here and you clear everything and you clear this Koopa right here, you will land right here, and at this point you can just do a full jump again, and that'll bring you, as long as you kept your P-speed, that'll bring you up to this point here. So a big jump, and then a big jump at the edge, and then you're up top here. And at this point, you can kind of turn back and jump over that piranha plant. There is a tight gap here, but pretty much get as close to the piranha plant as possible. And as long as you have speed, you should be able to clear him, like that. And you can run through, and that's the end. This is the end of the level, guys. If you jump too early here, you will bounce on this Koopa here, and that's not a problem. But just be sure to let go of A when you bounce on him. So like this. So that bounce, that'll automatically clear this gap here. Because if you try to do a full jump, you're not gonna make it. So right when you do this and then you bounce off of him, you can just let go of A, and you'll land on the other side of that gap here. You'll land right here, and then you can just do another jump like normal. You might have to turn back just a little bit. It's a little bit tight this way. As you can see, I do a quick turn back. I do left and then right, but then you can do the rest of the level normally. So that tunnel strat that I did, it's pretty frame perfect. And you don't need to do that, but it's pretty cool to go for. It's fun to go for, but you pretty much want to jump from here, and then just do a quick duck jump, and then you're doing like kind of like a small jump here, and you just trying to line up the jump. It's very hard to do, but yeah, doing this level normally, just like that, just fine. And if you are Small Mario at this point, no problem. You can gain a mushroom in the beginning of this level. I'll show you the strat for that. But to do this level as Big Mario, I'll do it from start to finish. So we'll break that down now. First, I'll just talk about in case you are Small Mario. So if you're Small Mario, what I do is I jump off of this platform here, and I do a full jump. So I do a jump here, and I do a big jump here. And that kind of lines you up to be able to get your mushroom here. So you can bounce off that Koopa and then get your mushroom, and then you're back up and you're in business. But let's say you're already Big Mario, then the strat for this, just doing a full jump off of this platform here. So you do a full jump, and you'll bounce off this Koopa, and that'll take you further into the level. After you jump off this Koopa, you kind of just time your jumps. And then once you get to this point, this is kind of the important part here. So you want to run on this platform as much as possible, on these platforms here, because you want to build your P-speed all the way up to this point. And this is an important part of this level here. So you can just completely jump over everything here, or you can jump on this green platform here and then jump up. It's up to you. I personally like doing it this way. And you want to run on this as much as possible. So you want to do kind of small jumps, small, precise jumps. But let's say you don't build your P speed, no problem. You just gotta keep it you kind of have to keep an eye on your P speed. You'll kind of know when you're gonna build P speed in time or when you're not. So just keeping an eye on your P meter at the bottom. The backup is to run back and rebuilding your P speed. It doesn't lose that much time. But if you don't build your P speed, then just run back and just try to rebuild it. Sometimes you have to go all the way back, and sometimes you only have to go to the end of the first platform. It depends on how much P speed you've already built. But let's say, all right, you build your P speed and you're ready to take on the rest of the level. Now these jumps, they're a little bit more precise, and it's kind of hard to explain how these jumps work. But once you get a feel for it, it's pretty easy to time. So I would say, when you jump off this Koopa here, it's kind of like a medium jump. You can kind of look at my input display and see what I do. I kind of let go of A, and then right when I bounce off of him, I hold A again. So I let go of A for a second, and then I press down A again after I bounce off of him. So I do a let go, and then I hold, then I let go and I hold. So I'll kind of do it from start to finish here. Medium jump, jumping off of here, jumping off of here, and you're at the end of the level. Alright, so one more thing I want to talk about in this world is the Hammer Bro. I won't be talking too much about Hammer Bros, but like I said, guys, you can get every Hammer Bro and still get a sub 1. It doesn't lose that much time. It does save time if you know which ones to skip, but at this point, at a beginner standpoint, you don't have to worry about skipping certain Hammer Bros. But maybe in another video, I will talk about the Hammer Bros and which ones you can get and which ones you can skip. But specifically in this Hammer Bro, if you see that the Hammer Bro at this point of the run that he lands on this specific spot, you can get firepower early. You can also get firepower at the airship, but if he lands on this specific spot, you can get early firepower. So as you can see at this last block, firepower spawns. And the only reason why this is important, like I said, you can still get firepower later in the airship. So right when you grab firepower at the end of this level, when it fades out, as you can see, it doesn't pause the game or slow the game down. Usually when you grab an item and Mario transforms, the game kind of freezes for about a couple frames, I think. So once you time it, you can kind of hear like a high-pitched noise as well at the end of it. That means that you did the glitch correctly. So that's just another easy way to save some frames. But it's not that big of a deal if you don't get it, because like I said, you can just get firepower at the airship at the end of this world. So not a big deal. Alright, so that covers World 1, guys. I know in only 5 levels there was a lot, but yeah, World 1 is hard, guys. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I will be doing World 2 in another video, and we'll keep the series going. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.